How's it going, peeps? Welcome back to Viva La Coin. I am Viva. No headset today. Just moved into a new place. We have no central air here, and I can't turn the AC on or else you won't be able to hear me. So we're going to sweat through this together as I cover the entirety of the Calvaria Drop for Nemonium, the artist behind it, how the drop went, what comes next in Phase 3, and some cool things that our minting partners and developers over at Ada Anvil allowed us to do during that drop. So I am excited to bring that to you as we cover this video. Again, anyone that has any questions, feel free to reach out to me at my Twitter. Super accessible, Viva La Coin, BTC, and then also we're always in Discord. Happy to help answer any questions. But let's just jump into it because there is a ton of stuff to go through in this video. So, if anyone was minting the Calvaria Drop that went live on the 17th of June and was closed out right at the end of the 24th of June, as you can see, the website said you missed out. It is now over if you were not a part of it. Although those that did mint, you had a chance to experience a couple new things here in CNFT that on our end we wanted to push as far as boundaries go when it comes to mobile minting, the ability to use referral links, the interface itself and how quickly and smoothly it went, and ultimately the quality of the art that Josh produced and we brought to you in this drop. Now, initially, there were 13,000 possible pieces that could be minted. It was our first drop that was publicly facing, and we just decided to end at that point. We were still minting pretty steadily, but it isn't about just making Cardano. It isn't about just funding Nemonium. It's also about creating that environment where we want people within Nemonium that want to be there, that understand what we're doing. And that was an extensive amount of time. And as we've seen phase after phase and drop after drop, the people that do believe in us and are present within Nemonium, you are rewarded over the course of time with either additional art, new possibilities, or new technology that we want to showcase through our partners. So I actually did a Ask Me Anything with Lily, who is not only one of our artists, but finally just put together her own Cardano drop where she's dropping one of her pieces per day that she's putting out. And we had a chance to interview Josh Jones, the artist behind the Calvaria Drop. And with that being said, when we interviewed him, we got to learn about his background, really where he found his inspiration for this art, his other project in CNFT that he's been working on since last year, Deep World NFT, and to hear about him and his plans for the future, even after Calvaria and still being a part of Nemonium in our community. If you want, please go listen to it. It was incredible. And it was actually recorded, and I posted it under both Viva Media on the tab in the Discord, as well as on Twitter for anyone that's interested that couldn't find it or isn't in the Discord. Shoot me a message, and we'll be able to break it down. But when it came to the mint itself, a lot of great feedback from the community as a whole. It was incredibly in-depth in the way that we did it. The minting process, a lot of people, and just to quote someone, one of the best minting experiences they ever had. Our website had a full breakdown that could really showcase what the Ada Anvil team, along with Penny Dents that originally set up the artistic look of the website, was able to bring to show to the community. Now, not only for that drop were you able to burn your whitelist token if you've been here for a while to receive an additional skull where you could do up to 6 at a time, so it'd be 12 skulls in total that you could receive. We also had the ability to mint mobily. And even one of my friends said that he was camping in the Netherlands and away from his laptop and really Wi-Fi in general, but he still had his cell phone and he was able to access our minting capabilities via his cell phone. And we were listed within the Eternal app. Actually, the one right above Calvaria is the charity that I put together, Hawaiian Helpers, that helped test it out. So thank you to the entire Ada Anvil team, as well as my Enlightenment token, PB, who is also a part of that team and works with them full-time. He was able to create art for my charity and by extension help Ada Anvil set this up for Nemonium to mint mobily, both through Android or if you logged in via the website on iPhone. Now, one capability that I didn't talk about in my previous videos or go into at all was the ability to do referral links. So when you think of referral links, it's more or less, okay, some sort of rebate or cashback that the project might get if someone goes and they mint using your link. But the way that they constructed this, it was you put in our minting website and then add your handle at the end. And then if anyone mints, instead of 10% back to the project or to, the artist, it actually went back to the individual who had that referral link, and that was 6.9 Ada in this case. Now, although I didn't have anyone use my link, I went and I used multiple people's links, and I minted about 10 skulls off of people's referral links that were posted just to test out the capability and give back a little to the community. Now, anyone that has an Ada handle that's using it, just to send transactions back and forth to each other, and it's a little bit easier than trying to find someone's address and copy and paste that. This is just one of the capabilities that not only Ada Anvil wants to mobilize for all of CNFT, but that Nemonium was lucky and thankful enough to give it a go for the first time. So incredibly awesome to try that out, and everyone really enjoyed sharing that with their friends, and it got a little more exposure to the project in general. And then when it comes to the actual asset ID, in this case, Skull 5876, Ada Anvil actually put up a post because people were reaching out and saying, well, my Skull, the actual asset ID and the title doesn't line up. Is there a reason for that? And I wanted to highlight this because it's very important for anyone that spends time on the development side of mints whenever they're letting them come out. And a lot of people didn't know this. So by Ada Anvil, they put this post up. Some sharp eyes noticed something with the Nemonium mint. Take a look at the asset below, and do you notice anything? And I see Skull 5876, but in the actual asset ID below it, it says Nemonium Skull 2038. And they said the asset number below the skull and above the skull do not match. Is this a mistake? Nope, we did it on purpose, but why? So what they said was, when you mint multi-sig, you can see the asset ID you're going to receive before you confirm the transaction. It's just a part of the process. So to prevent people from searching for specific asset IDs, we generated fake ones that show up in your transaction before you confirm. That way, the buyer cannot game the system. Even if the buyer tries, the asset they're receiving is a different number. Another way to handle this is you don't create rarities in sequence for your metadata, but there are reasons you may want to order them as a project owner. So just another level of security on our end to make sure that anyone pulling their skulls through the minting process couldn't manufacture the possibility of getting a rare or cancel transactions if they knew that they weren't. Now, when it comes to the actual assets themselves, on our Discord, we actually posted a little breakdown of every single one of the different attributes and characteristics of the skulls. I have a ton of them. I saved up a lot. I even had to sell one of my teal discos just to save up so I could really lean into this mint. It was something that I was so excited for, prepared for well over a month for, and every single one I'm completely obsessed with. Now, I'll show you a couple of my personal favorites just to give you a couple of examples pulled up on Pool PM. But we are also on CNFT tools as well if you want to go see the different rarities and breakdowns. The rarest one being what I've referred to as Crystal Skull, no reference to Indiana Jones. And I actually know who wound up pulling this, and I'm super excited for them. So if you're watching this, congrats on that. But varying rarities for this drop was something that was newer to Nemonium. We didn't really institute rarities in any of the other phases or drops up to this point. And that's because these skulls will actually have a very detailed part in phase 3 and as we move forward to build out the back half of the ecosystem for our Nemonium community. Now, just to showcase a couple of my favorites, this one was actually given to me. It was a trade by someone in the community because I didn't have any of the ancient Lovelace eyes, which are the Ada eyes within the skull. But the detail is just so nice on these. Josh Jones really did an absolutely incredible job. In every single one, depending on what the attribute is, they all really shine in their own way. No pun intended for the halo. Some of my other favorites, I love the Nemonium base skull attribute with the glowing Ada A in the forehead. When we broke down in that AMA with Josh what our favorite attributes was, it was one that consistently was brought up time and time again. and I can see why. It just really makes it pop, and I feel like in certain combinations, it just really brings out the best in the artwork that he put together. And then finally, just to show off one more, that was my PFP during the majority of the mint, the good old katana through the forehead of the skull. And that's kind of how I felt when I was moving in the process while everything else was going on. But we got it done. And all in all, we wound up minting 4,678 skulls that will then be a part of this ecosystem and have their own utility and staking capabilities moving forward, which I'll touch on in just a second. Now, just to catch everyone up to speed and kind of a TLDR speed round of everything that's occurred in Nemonium in phase 1 and phase 2. So far, we had our 75 OG skulls created. We initially had our 13 million skull tokens created, which we've distributed in various ways between 13,000 to the OG skulls to having the faucet to more capabilities for that in the upcoming months. Skull tokens verified, liquidity pools enabled. Skull stake pool created and is minting blocks, so we have our own stake pool within Cardano thanks to the help of our partner Die Cases, which right now is still right around 1.2 million Cardano staked within that pool. 13,000 multi-purpose whitelist tokens created. Initially 2.3 thousand were distributed and burned during this Calvaria mint. The formation of a DAO in quotation marks, because the DAO, and this was a big portion of why when all the DAOs and that was being used as a buzzword coming out were kind of looked down upon or frowned at, was a fully functional front to back DAO is not yet capable. So as we move through Cardano's capabilities and all these upgrades are happening around us, we have to put the pillars in place to allow a fully functional DAO front to back that will fuel this ecosystem that supports artists and that builds up the community and that can remain liquid in ways that doesn't trap people within it or not allow new people to enter. And this is just another phase coming up in phase 3 that will allow us to eventually all get to that place together. In that first phase of those DAO pieces, 1,333 Origin DAO tokens were distributed. We worked with 15 different artists over the past 6 months. We made the treasury. Fauna had his 151 one-of-one skulls dropped in phase 2. We had Natalie Shao in the artist from Muggos, TPV, who's just working with Nemonium that made the Nemonium comic. They each made a piece that will actually be swappable in the future to work with Nemonium World, which I'll just give a little sneak peek of in a second. We had our farming for the DAO, so we took a bunch of liquid ADA and we all voted to put it into places where it will actually generate more funds for the DAO as opposed to tie it up in blue chip art or something that might not be as beneficial, especially in a bear market. We also had our first mobile minting on Cardano with a multi-sig wallet thanks to Eternal and of course Ada Anvil. Partnerships with 5 additional projects that are future for this space. The first project to come from Nemonium that launched as an independent project with its own community. Fauna launched Skull MFers that had 26 artists create legendary pieces in a full gallery mint with our community that were also semi-legendary pieces within that collection. We had the 4687 future stakeable Calvaria skulls created, and then we have 5 more upcoming artists to help complete phase 3. So that's a giant mouthful. And if you listen to me say all of that and you're like, holy shit, like it's just nonstop. As soon as this announcement was made, right above it was already breaking down phase 3 and everything to come. And that includes working with multiple different artists in different ways. So in phase 3, in no particular order, we have Natalie Shao creating a full collection of Bad Girls through Nemonium. We have Shapes coming together in making a small but very, very nice collection for Nemonium, and I actually got a couple sneak peeks behind the scenes, and it is some of my favorite art I've seen in all of CNFT. Jason Matthias, who actually sells his photography and works on fine art. If anyone was there for that conversation and trying to push, more of a collector or art appreciation mindset, he actually put together a bunch of pieces for Nemonium, and he was working on that over in Iceland. Our artist Nahum that worked on one of the phase 1 DAO piece skulls, actually skull number 4 in that piece where Monk did the music for it, created some unique pieces for us. Tendrophobia brings their own take on Nemonium skulls. Then it this point, totally closed for holders only. So that's kind of the one that catches a lot of people, and they're like, oh, okay, so to access any of this art, you have to be within Nemonium. Anyone that's coming over from, Ethereum to create art for Nemonium, you have to be in Nemonium. So it's really closing off that ecosystem to really appreciate and build up those artists for everyone that was here that supported from the beginning. Partial and then full collections only brought within Nemonium using the Skull token, which is our ecosystem token. And although there's been like no big, broad official announcements about that, we've told people over the course of time there will be functionality for it, but you have to get to a certain point where there are enough community members and enough artists and developers and people building things out so that we're not just distributing tokens that could be used as a liquidity exit drop. That's not what this is about, and we want to actually have them mean something to access good art and support people in the community. We have the artist Claw Machine bringing their art over from Ethereum, and I saw a couple sneak peeks of that. And the Calvaria collection, all 4,678 skulls, will be stakeable. So as that becomes known to everyone else that doesn't watch this video or isn't seeing these announcements, we'll break down more in depth what that means. And then, of course, that collection was mentable until June. Now, I feel of all the projects that I invest in as an individual, this one, although I had the absolute privilege of being on the team and watching it grow from the beginning and speaking to it every day, that was a lot. There's a lot happening within Nemonium. There's a lot of passion and creativity and collective collaboration of different people, from developers to stake pools to liquidity pools to token distribution to now at this point over 20 artists working on things, as well as being completely founded in that bedrock layer by the OG skulls and people that trusted Nemo to begin with. It's unlike anything I've seen in NFT in general, let alone just in our CNFT community. And I am beyond proud to see how far we've come in knowing what is coming in the future and seeing some sneak peeks and knowing the fully sustainable ecosystem that we want to build. I just can't put into words, despite all the words I just said, how excited that I am. Now, I'm going to leave you with a couple sneak peeks that Nemo put up just yesterday morning that also then just knocked the wind out of me, because it's like as soon as we finish one drop, then we go straight into phase 3 sneak peeks. And these were actually a couple things that he posted to be given away for the community. And just to give you a little close-up of the sneak peek here, this was from Tendrophobia and Dark Dreams deck in their breakdown. So I can't stress enough the quality and caliber of art that everyone that shows up in Nemonium brings to the table. It doesn't matter if it's 3D art all the way down to the 2D collaboration for Skull MFers, to their own takes on, any sort of motion within it, to the website developers and penny dents, all the way to who designed our token or made the music or created the phase 1 pieces. Every single person is bringing something different. But as the collector, investor, and community member in me is fully intertwined with it, it's becoming this big, elaborate art collection of people coming together for a common goal in different styles, supporting each other. And that's something that I can believe in on day one, which is why I was here. And I still believe in it now more than ever, just because of the execution of everyone involved. And I'm incredibly, incredibly proud. The other sneak peek coming up there was from the Nemonium World drop here, and Nemo shared the same thing yesterday morning. It is just nonstop putting things together in phase 3, and this was actually by JS, but Rhubarb, and they actually, just a little shout out to you, I think they won one of my whitelist tokens I was giving away right during the Calvaria mint. So it's exciting to see, and I can't wait to find out more details. And I know I mentioned Nemonium World a bit, and it actually has to do with one of our external partnerships that I've mentioned on videos before in Cyberia, CNFT and Atom of God, Shrink, in what they're building. I can't show you anything about Nemonium World or tell you anything about it, but what I can say is they absolutely are putting in the work to build something special. And you're going to have to wait to get some sneak peeks there. I can let that run a bit. Just want to turn the volume off. But all in all, it is just firing on all cylinders. Everyone has something to contribute. I was blown away by our development team, the minting process, the web design, the artistic output, the community outreach, the CNFT support as a whole. It's just absolutely incredible to me. And I just want to say thanks to everyone that believed in us from the start. And we're not going to slow down. We're not going to sell out. In fact, we believe every single day more and more in what we built and want to deliver to the Cardano community. Now, one last thing I will say just at the end of the video, because it was on everyone's mind this week, as far as like Discord and when you're in there and interacting with us, we're never going to mention anything that's out of character, like post something out. There were Discord hacks and things like that. So if this is just one opportunity to tell you, like myself, Nemo, Fauna, JT, Fart, we're all very accessible. If at any point we do something out of character, or if you see a post that just doesn't line up with the things that we've said or announced, before you act or before you do anything, just make sure to reach out to us. And we're absolutely here and we're happy to help. So then that way, no one's going to get caught off guard if for some reason something happened. And that's just me trying to protect our community, everyone in CNFT, and to make sure that we all actually make it instead of a couple people getting caught up in any type of scams or things like that. But aside from that, thank you for joining me on this episode of Viva La Coin. I love and appreciate you all, and I will see you guys next time.